Welcome to today's Explainer. You know, for a really long time, the field of psychology was heavily focused on pathology. It was basically all about dissecting exactly what goes wrong in the human mind, analyzing our deepest traumas, or breaking down our bad conditioned habits. But the humanistic school of psychology, it zeroes in on what goes right. It completely flips the script. It's a framework built on this amazing foundational belief in our inherent goodness and our natural positive drive. So, instead of viewing us as these broken machines that desperately need fixing, the humanistic approach looks at how we naturally grow, how we develop, and how we possess this innate, built-in capacity to reach our absolute highest capabilities. Okay, let's dive into this. Picture this for a second. When you strip away the daily grind, the stress, the commuting, and all those minor, frustrating details of your day, who do you ultimately want to become? I mean, what does the absolute best, most highly realized version of you actually look like? I want you to keep that image firmly in your mind, because that exact question is the beating heart of the humanistic approach to personality. It's the central mystery we're trying to solve today. And to understand exactly how we bridge that massive gap between where we are today and that ultimate version of ourselves, we're going to explore the groundbreaking contributions of two major theorists, Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow.
Section 1. Carl Rogers' Self-Theory.
Carl Rogers built his revolutionary ideas outward from his extensive work in client-centered therapy. He really stressed that to truly understand a person's personality, you have to look deeply at their self. He believed a person's self-concept is literally the most important factor determining how they grow and how they adjust to the world around them. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the distinct, fascinating tension it shows. Rogers outlines that there are essentially two basic systems operating within our personal reality. On one side, we have the organism. The organism represents the vast, completely unfiltered totality of your experience. We're talking every single thing you feel, perceive, and experience, both consciously and unconsciously. It's massive. But on the other side, we have the self. The self is only the accepted, conscious part of that experience. It's the story or narrative a person develops about who they are. You can easily imagine the immense friction this creates, right? It's like we experience this huge, chaotic ocean of stimuli as an organism, but we only accept a tiny, curated fraction of it onto the island of our conscious self-concept.
But Rogers didn't just map out who we are in the present moment. Alongside the organism and the self-concept, he introduced an absolutely critical third component, the ideal self. Simply put, this is the kind of person one would like himself to be. This is that aspirational target, that ultimate vision you pictured in your head just a few moments ago. And here's the kicker. It isn't just a fantasy or a daydream. In Rogers' view, the ideal self exists as a vital guiding star for actual psychological growth. The sheer distance between your current self and your ideal self creates a natural psychological drive, actively pushing you to evolve.
And this brilliantly illustrates how our personal reality naturally maps out as a continuous, fluid journey. We always begin with the raw, unfiltered totality of experience down in the organism. That massive influx of experience then gets filtered and narrowed down into our accepted self-concept. That self-concept, whether it's super healthy or maybe a bit fractured, directly dictates how we operate, how we make decisions, and how we adjust in our real life. And all of that daily action and adjustment is ultimately striving, whether we consciously realize it or not, toward that final step, the ideal self. It's this beautiful lifelong progression from our deepest unconscious experiences all the way up to our highest conscious aspirations.
So how do we successfully navigate that journey without, getting stuck along the way? Well, according to Rogers, the vital catalyst, the ultimate fertilizer for this entire process is something called unconditional positive regard. This means receiving love, support, and positive regard from others without any strings or conditions attached whatsoever. Just think about the profound impact of a super supportive parent, a deeply loyal friend, or a devoted mentor who values you simply for existing, not just when you succeed or behave perfectly. When a person experiences this pure, unconditional acceptance, it allows them to safely merge their organism and their self without any fear of judgment. This leads to what Rogers called a fully functioning personality. And it is this fully functioning, highly secure personality that actually possesses the strength to drive all the way toward the ideal self.
Section 2. Abraham Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs.
Much like Rogers, Abraham Maslow fully adopted the humanistic approach and firmly believed that human beings are basically good. But Maslow viewed our growth and our psychological development as a highly active, highly structured climb. Maslow argued that the pattern of human behavior is always governed by the satisfaction of specific needs. He famously stated that the personality of an individual depends upon his style of striving towards the ultimate goal of self-actualization. Notice the heavy emphasis on that word striving. It's an active, relentless pursuit. We all have needs at various levels of urgency, and our unique personalities are literally shaped by the individual ways we go about satisfying those needs as we try to reach the summit.
Let's move to and see how this builds into one of psychology's most famous and enduring frameworks, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. He presented human needs in a strict, hierarchical order, climbing from the lowest, most fundamental physical requirements all the way up to the absolute highest psychological peaks. The 5 distinct steps are physiological, safety and security, love and belonging, self-esteem, and finally, self-actualization. The crucial, unbreakable rule of this framework is that it's a prerequisite system. You simply cannot effectively climb to a higher step or focus your energy on higher-order growth until the baseline needs of the step right below it are firmly satisfied.
Let's look at the foundational steps of this climb. First, at the very bottom are the basic physiological needs. We're talking breathing, food, water, shelter, clothing, and sleep. Right above that are the safety and security needs, which include health, employment, property, family stability, and social ability. Now, we can all relate to this baseline on a highly practical level, right? I mean, try focusing on unlocking your ultimate inner potential and doing profound creative work when you're operating on 3 hours of sleep, your stomach is completely empty, and you're stressing about making rent. It just doesn't work. If your basic physical survival and environmental security aren't met, your brain completely shifts into survival mode. Your behavior becomes entirely focused on securing those foundation blocks, which completely stalls your upward ascent.
But once that physical and environmental foundation is finally secure, we're free to move up to the complex social and emotional needs. Step 3 is love and belonging needs. This is our deep, wired-in human drive for friendship, family, intimacy, and a genuine sense of connection with our community. Then, step 4 takes it inward to self-esteem needs. This is the drive for confidence, personal achievement, earning the respect of others, and feeling like a completely unique, valuable individual. Notice how the climb shifts here. We must secure these complex psychological anchors, knowing we're loved, knowing we're capable, and feeling respected, because they act as the necessary psychological gateway. Only with a full tank of belonging and self-esteem can we successfully survive the final, most demanding push to the very peak of the hierarchy.
Section 3. Reaching the summit. Achieving self-actualization.
This is it, the highest need in Maslow's hierarchy, and the ultimate goal of personality development. This is where the humanistic approach really shines its brightest light on our capabilities. When you finally reach the level of self-actualization, your operating system elevates drastically. You are no longer driven by deficiency. You aren't desperately looking for food, safety, or just a pat on the back. Instead, you're driven entirely by growth. You become fiercely focused on morality. You unlock boundless creativity and spontaneity. You operate with a deep, profound acceptance of the world and yourself, flaws and all. Operating at this level is defined by the profound daily experience of purpose, meaning, and genuinely tapping into your truest inner potential. So the crucial point is this. Self-actualization is the realization of one's basic human potential to the maximum extent, as effectively as possible. This is the shared destination. Whether you're looking through the lens of Carl Rogers, striving toward that ideal self with the beautiful help of unconditional positive regard, or you're looking through the lens of Abraham Maslow, actively conquering the structural climb of the hierarchy of needs, the core thesis of the humanistic approach remains exactly the same. The goal of human psychology isn't just to fix what's broken. The goal is to become the absolute best, most fully realized version of yourself.
Which leaves us with one final, incredibly important question to reflect on. Look at your own life, your current goals, and your daily environment. What step of the hierarchy are you currently on? Are you still expending most of your energy trying to secure your foundation? Or are you making that final courageous push towards self-actualization? Take a moment today to figure out exactly where you are on the mountain. And wherever you are, just keep climbing. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time as we continue to break down the fascinating concepts that shape our world.